our Vice Chair, Pauline Tully.
Good evening to everyone here. I suppose it's good to have both of you in the room, because regularly what we hear is the local authority blaming the HSE and the HSE blaming the local authority for accessible housing and a support package not being in place and not working in tandem. And I do acknowledge it has improved with the new steering committees, and I hear of good working relationships on the ground between a local authority and the HSE or disability manager on the ground. I've been told that the national level of the HSE can be inflexible at times, and a degree of flexibility there would be important to allow the disability manager to do as they see fit on the ground. You know, that they are not going to make, you know, decisions that are not necessary. In relation to the steering groups, and I know some of my colleagues have already raised this, but it was mentioned in your opening statement, Anne-Marie, that the steering groups have disability service providers. And I mean, it's very important that it's DPOs that are engaging with the steering committees, because you know, they're the people who are speaking for themselves, and that that local authorities are cognizant of the different forms of disability. So it's not just physical, it's sensory, it's intellectual and mental health as well. And that those people are engaged with at design stage rather than later. Because sometimes you hear from different disabled people that come in here and talk about engaging in consultation. You know, it could be with the Transport Authority, it could be with anyone, that they're brought in to tick a box and basically the decision has already been made. And you know, maybe sometimes the design is wrong from the start, and they're brought in and when it's already advanced, and so that needs to be important. I heard of a housing scheme that was now not in this country, actually, it was somewhere else, that it was accessible housing, but it was built on a hill. I mean, there was no thought went into that, like for a wheelchair user, that the houses would actually be on a hill. On universal design, that's welcome, and I know you said there that a new design standard is being developed. Because I mean, currently the universal design is only wheelchair visitable. Under the minimum, you know, standards there, and I know it's been called for that to be changed. So is that what you're talking about, that it now be wheelchair livable in? Because I think that's important, that there is a percentage of houses in every housing development going forward, because it is more cost effective than adapting a house afterwards. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on a programme of downsizing. I mean, I've come across individuals who maybe had a local authority house, had a family, the family have grown up, moved on, they're now living in a 3-bedroomed house, they may have developed, you know, mobility issues or an illness, they want downsizing to a 2-bedroomed house, and it's not happening. And I'm sure the 3-bedroomed house or 4-bedroomed house would benefit will benefit a family. But I'm being told the reason is that there's a shortage of 2-bedroomed houses. So I mean, it's something that needs to be addressed. And I think in other countries they do this as a matter of course, and it's quite good. On the CAS funding, I know we had organisations in here in December, and they were talking about the CAS, and they were saying that it does not support independent living for disabled people, because there's no funding for disability within housing or focus on disability within the CAS. So they're saying there's funding there for CAS, but it doesn't take account of the additional supports that person's going to need within if they move into a house. So, you know, there needs to be, that needs to be built in. And there were also, I suppose, questioned as well that there's no revenue coming from to support specialist services such as respite, and could CAS be widened to support respite services in an area as well? I don't know if that's possible. It was just something that was mentioned by them as well. And I suppose it's just to emphasise the point as well that, I mean, accessible housing isn't about the house itself, it's about the whole environment. It's about making sure that there's accessible transport links to education or employment, if that's the case. And just on, I suppose, for the HSE, you talked about nursing homes and younger people under 65s being in nursing homes. That figure doesn't come down. And the reason it doesn't come down is that people may moved out into the community, but more people are still coming into nursing homes, and the practice continues. So I mean, you know, is there a plan in place to stop that practice? Are there going to be enough accessible houses built in, housing developments as we go forward. And I suppose the same could be said in relation to congregated settings as well. Because again, it's been quite slow in moving people out of congregated settings and into the community. I know there's been some progress, and that's welcome, but there's still a long way to go. Thank you.
I suppose in terms of the disability strategies at a local level, it does include the representative organisations, the clients themselves, as well as advocacies for disability advocates. So the three categories are involved in the development of the strategy. So in order to have a strong strategy and something that will meet the needs of everybody involved, the ongoing consultation is important, and there's probably some improvements that could take place there. But as we mentioned earlier, in terms of tenancies, that gives us a direct method of consultation with our clients. So I think there's good work happening there from a housing perspective. On the CAS and the care packages, I might ask Michael to come in.
Deputy, just a couple of points. You're correct in terms of the supply of 1 and 2 beds. In terms of downsizing, that is a challenge for local authorities, and particularly the 1 and 2 beds that we do achieve, draw from multi-storey. So there's an accessibility issue there. And as you probably know within your own constituencies, those one-storey masonette properties, they're in high demand, and it goes back to the point I was making initially. We need to go back to direct build ourselves, and at the minute we are still dependent on our turnkey properties coming in from private developers. And again, if going right back, if you look at our county development plans, we support disabled persons housing, support all that housing piece. What would be useful for us probably is some consideration of targets, so when the planners are meeting the individual developers at the pre-planning meeting, that there's actually targets to achieve in terms of UD or disabled persons housing to force the hand maybe to see that kind of housing built into the models of housing that eventually come through to us as turnkeys. In terms of CAS, as we've said in the opening statement, we're very supportive of CAS. Obviously we're dependent on the HB sector coming forward and engaging with us in CAS, and we would be very supportive, and we would like to see more engagement from the HB sector in that CAS. But to my mind, CAS really does deliver for disabled persons in itself, because it's specifically designed housing for disabled persons. So
they're to build the houses, but they don't take into account the additional supports, and at that stage, and that there just needs to be a more coordinated approach to it. I think that's the point we're trying to make.
Yeah, I think our piece is the housing. If it's the support services outside that, you're talking about remodelling or reviewing that CAS scheme to broaden it to the support services that the HSE provide. But from our perspective, which is the housing, it is a really good funding stream that provides that kind of housing that we're not getting in other streams. And it's specifically designed, not only the individual units, but the whole estate can be designed to be disabled friendly.
And I might just come in just on the private housing delivery. At pre-planning, we have some good examples where pre-planning in terms of Part 5 units, we've worked with the developer to design units to suit people who are awaiting social housing. So I can think of 3 examples in Fingal that have been recent delivery that has been basically the Part 5 was designed to meet the individual need. And on the care package with CAS, probably the reality is the care package cost goes up when the allocation is made, and that's more than likely what's causing the difficulty for individuals that I suppose negotiation needs to happen with the HSE.
Yeah, sorry, just on the universal design piece as well, obviously that's very important. We do try in our own individual schemes to, we obviously have generically accessible housing, but we also tailor it specifically to the individuals as well. And the other piece about lining up the care package has been referred to several times. That's something we try and achieve at the disability action teams. We're taking a similar approach as we would have, say, with severe homeless cases, where we would work through housing first cases at our homeless action team. We try and achieve a similar result with people with high support needs with disabilities. But certainly the universal design, the standard that's there will cover everything, including the circulation areas and all the accessibility in the environment around the house, which the NSAI is developing. And just the other thing there's quite a bit of focus through the age-friendly shared service on age-friendly in the public realm, which would be similar in terms of what's needed for disability. But again, we're working through the network of age-friendly and disability technical advisors to try and improve that awareness in each local authority around the country and make sure the projects are designed with that in mind. But certainly there will be a lot of information coming off over the next 12 months on universal design, which hopefully will get into the mainstream.
Thanks, Deputy. So if I could just maybe, I suppose, comment on the first point that you made in relation to the role of national and local, and what support and what's an obstacle. I think the very clear intention of the CEO in terms of the redesign of the HSE and the HSE structures is absolutely about making sure that local decision making, local structures in the context of the health region is the way forward, and that the national roles are there to support the health regions in terms of the delivery of services, and that the decision making will be increasingly located at the in the health regions. And I think that's a welcome thing. Decisions made closest as possible to the citizen is always going to be better. In terms of the nursing home numbers, it's right to say that it's remained static, and that's, while that's better than it increasing, it's certainly not anything that anybody is celebrating. The reasons why it remains static, I think, are there's a couple of factors to it, and it is these are areas that we're actively working on at the moment. So part of the difficulty is we're not able to make a policy decision at this point in time to say no more admissions of people inappropriately into nursing homes, because we don't have the alternatives in place, and we do need to support people to move from places like the National Rehabilitation Hospital when they're ready for discharge, because there are others who need to access those services. So we are working to develop some models around step-down facilities, and then developing the community services that people need with the level of support that they need, and to be able to do that safely. And we are talking sometimes about people with quite complex needs, and that we need to do it safely. So it isn't just having available housing and having available support is certainly part of it, but I think some of the models of service that we have between, let's say, the National Rehabilitation Hospital and a supported community placement that people might need, we're using nursing homes to bridge the absence of appropriate other services. And I think until we can develop some of those models, we're not going to see a dramatic reduction in the numbers that we should be working towards. Now, I think once we have those step-down facilities in place, we will see much more appropriate stepping stones for people, and less use and reliance on nursing homes as part of the model. So I think it's good that we're not increasing. It'll be better when we can get to the point of saying no more inappropriate admissions to nursing homes, and we're confidently able to do that because we're able to say, and here's the alternative.